TraderTrader.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich.
All right, hello everybody. Again, a late start fighting with the thumbnail. I wanted it to show Jerome Powell with the money printer, or at least like China, and it just wouldn't do it. It didn't. OpenAI has put in some pretty strict filters lately, so you really can't mess with it too much. It's not going to be too long of a show today. I got pretty sick the past couple days. Had like a fever for 2 days, stuff like that, and now I'm just dealing with very clogged sinuses and like sinus headache. So I'm going to do a 20 to 30 minute show, give you my thoughts on where I think we're going, and then that should be good for the next week. We'll go over also what I talked about last week, what happened, what didn't happen. The big thing being Bitcoin. So here's Bitcoin. Look at the breakout. I was hoping, so this was last Thursday right here. This was our breakout. I was thinking that maybe, and hoping, wishful thinking, that this was mic level up a bit. Okay, let me see. All right, wait. Maybe it's because I'm okay. So I already increased the gain. It was already increased. I can increase it again, I guess. That's higher. I'm now into the yellow area of the mic audio on OBX. Let me see if I can further increase it. I really can't speak that well, unfortunately. Testing. Properties, a bit better. Wait. I already increased the gain by, I don't know why it's not good. I'm in the same spot as I always am. Hello, Kevin. Testing. Increasing the gain massively. Okay, so how is that? Because now I'm basically going into the red according to the software. But that should be good enough, I hope. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, my voice probably sounds a little bit weird. I'm a bit congested. It's like mid-face sinus congestion, very annoying. But last week, this was Thursday last week, I was hoping that this was a fake out and we would get one last shakeout down to this midpoint right here, 103K. That's what I said, that I was hoping we would get that. It didn't happen, and we just retested kind of the top of this bull flag and broke out. And then, now it's just, we're full on bull. Like so what is the consequence of me not getting that 103K pullback? The consequence is I'm not in a high leverage long like I want it to be. That's the only consequence. I am 100% long in spot. I have a significant amount in spot long Bitcoin, Ethereum, a bunch of different altcoins, and I expect everything to continue to pump. Like this is we're going up here, right? This is my target, 135, 140K. It's such an obvious breakout on everywhere you look, and we've got full-on money printer going on. That's kind of why my image is of the money printer. Why are we not showing the M2 money supply? Hold on, let me break out the scale. Let me fix the scale here. Settings, Move, pin to scale, pin to new right scale. Okay. There you go. Okay. I know this is a little bit confusing because I have a lot of levels here. I'm going to get rid of some of these. Let me get rid of all these red lines. We don't need those anymore. Those levels are gone. So this is kind of M2 money supply, and you can see how we sat down here for a while, and then we pushed higher, and Bitcoin is following it. So we got to break out of this 2.618 level right here. This is the big resistance. And if we can break out, we're going to go to this 117 area, and we'll probably sit here a bit, small pullback, not too much, and then we're going to keep pushing up. And then we'll consolidate up here. We're basically just following M2 money supply. I kind of hate that it's working. I thought that it was a bit of a meme, and yet it seems to be working, which is just depresses me a little bit, just a little bit. Anyway, don't short this market. If you want to trade on leverage, I would hunt longs. I think it's a bad idea to try to get in any short position. S&P also full on bull mode, just like summer levitation up. July historically is very bullish. So yeah, the message is don't short, and I think that's been basically my message since down here. Essentially here on the S&P has been my message to not short. I went super long here. We rode it all the way up to here. And then I expected a bit more of a pullback than we got. We basically had no pullback, push higher, and we sat in the 6,000. I again thought we would get a little bit of a pullback, and we got nothing. And then we just push higher again. This is probably the most hated rally ever. I bet a lot of people, I am confident a lot of people are sidelined and unhappy about this. But again, if we look at M2 money supply, pull that up, look at this, right? This is set for Bitcoin, so the times are a little off, but we can adjust it. I think it's like less. I think it's, or maybe it's more. Let's try 100. It's not working. 100. No, 100 is definitely not. Yeah, more like 70. And you can see how it just levitates higher. It's kind of going to keep following this. Try to adjust the scale a bit. And we're just going to keep levitating up because so much money has been printed. Yeah, I think tons of people are sidelined, hoping for pullbacks. Even me at this point, like I'm kind of tired of it. We've been going straight up for how long? Almost 3 months straight. So, you know, it's and if you look at the 2-week chart, right, it's just ridiculous. Basically the playbook for the market ever since 2009 is if it drops down, you just get a V move up. They print a ton of money and you get a V move up, and that's you're seeing, like, this was 2020 and 2021. It's, imagine like a recap of that where you get very minimal pullbacks. That's kind of what we're seeing here. And I don't see any signs of that stopping. Like there's nothing here telling me, oh, it's bearish short. This is super bullish. There's no divergence at all on the weekly chart. So if anybody's telling you to short, they're a complete moron, and you should stop listening to them. Okay? Just stop listening to them. Yeah, that was easy. This was the easiest thing down here. We had a 7 and 8 and 9. I was pounding. You can go back to that video. It's public. I was saying buy, buy, buy. This was the buy area right here. Now, over here, this was harder. This latest pump, that was difficult with the Israel-Iran war, with the US getting involved. In hindsight, it was kind of obvious what would happen. But when it was happening, I think this was a difficult one, and we could have seen something a lot worse. The global crash is coming. Well, to be fair, okay, to be fair, Amazon Prime Day is down by negative. Apparently, the first day of Amazon. So, are you guys aware of Prime Day? Prime Day is happening right now. Apparently, it's like a couple days though. What is it? Prime Day. Look at this. Well, I'm gonna look at this later. I'm gonna open that. What Prime deals are worth my money? Prime Day sales down. Apparently there was a purported 41% drop, but Amazon is disputing this. So did sales really drop 41%? Customers spending less, blah, blah, blah. Highly inaccurate. Yeah, I don't know what you can believe, but apparently a major sales manager came out and said that sales were down by 41%. I don't know how true that is, but my understanding is I think that retail is hurting. I think retail is hurting. I know at least here in Thailand, a lot of people are hurting. I understand that's not America and it doesn't matter, but I think at this point, the whole world is kind of sort of connected. By the way, as someone who lives in Thailand, I think I'm very glad that Trump is hitting them with 36% tariffs. And I hope that they wake up and they lower their ridiculous tariffs so I can import things from Amazon without a 30 to 100% tariff, because it should just be equal. But they have ridiculous tariffs here, so they kind of deserve it. And I think there's a lot of countries in the world like that. Okay, anyway, back to what I was talking about. So there's a lot happening here, and I understand that like we don't have quantitative easing happening, but I think there's other things happening here that are going to pump the market. They're not going to make it obvious, but the market is going to get pumped. And I think I posted this in the lounge, and I highly recommend reading this. Hold on, where is it? Arthur Hayes. Now, I'm not saying Arthur Hayes is always right. He's kind of crazy, but he did post this article, and I think it's pretty good. Where is the article? What the hell? Arthur Hayes, Genius Act. All right, well, that's weird. I wonder why it's not on his Medium page. I found it from his Twitter, but it's not. Let me see if I can find it. Let me go to here, artist. It's gone. Wait a second. Let me pull up on my X account, because I have a link from his. Maybe he got censored, because it was kind of a it had some rough humor. Let's put it that way. Quid pro stablecoin, he called it. I don't know why it doesn't show this one. Yeah, here, this July 3rd. So he talks about the Genius Act here. So this is where like crypto and traditional finance are coming together. He talks about the Genius Act here and how he believes that it's going to open up $10 trillion worth of liquidity to the markets. And it's going to pump the hell out of the markets. Now, I took this entire article, I ran it through ChatGPT, I ran it through Grok. I asked both of them, is this article factually accurate? Like, is there anything here that is an assumption or may not happen? And both of them said the 10 trillion was a bit of a stretch. However, everything else in the article checked out. So what he's saying, and the reason why apparently the current administration is pushing for all this deregulation with crypto and pushing for crypto, is because it's going to enable them to massively pump the stock market. That's the main reason. And that's how the government generates a lot of revenue. If the stock market doesn't go up, the government loses a lot of tax revenue. So the reason why they want to continually pump the market and why you're always on the losing side if you're shorting is because the US government especially, and I think governments around the world, they benefit massively from being able to tax capital gains. And if people are not making money, they don't get any capital gains. And then the government has an even bigger deficit than they already have. So I think it's important to keep this stuff in mind. Okay? It's important to keep this in mind and understand that it actually pays to be basically a permabull, because the system is rigged to go up. It's rigged to go up until it has like a crash reset. So you get like 1 year of crash reset, and then the rest of the time it goes up. And that's kind of how it works. I don't know if I can expand on that anymore, but I would highly recommend reading that article. And if you don't want to read it, at least copying it, putting it into some AI, having it summarize it, explain it to you. It is kind of, it's a bit high level. So, you know, if you're not particularly financially savvy, I would recommend just copying it into an AI and having an AI kind of summarize it and simplify it. Okay, so those are my thoughts on that article. To be fair, he did say that he is in no altcoins right now. His firm is in 0 altcoins. They expected a pullback in altcoins until sometime in August, and then he expected this massive pump. But what is happening right now? I mean, altcoins are essentially like, this is the altcoin index, right? This is others. This is basically everything besides the top 10. It broke out here last week. This is why I'm 100% long, because this broke out. And we're coming into my first level. And if this was our recent range right there, we at least have up to here to go. We're going to go to 300 billion, which is an average increase of 25%. So your average, on average, coins should see 25% performance move upward here. And I don't see anything that will stop this. I mean, short of some kind of cataclysmic event, I don't see a reason why this all can't keep just going up. And if you missed being long here, you're just going to have to look at the moving averages and hunt for an area to be long on any kind of pullback. Generally on a breakout, 4 hour is a decent area to try to get in the longs. Right here, 4 hour, the 4 hour chart and like 9 EMA. Yeah, you can see, and also on a daily, right? If you want to be more careful, like 9 EMA on a daily. See how we just, back in the rally during 2024, this was kind of the last altcoin rally we had. It just came back and touched the bottom of the 9 EMA every time. So if you're not long here, wait until it comes back and touches the 9 EMA. Maybe tomorrow the 9 EMA is at like 240 billion. And then 242, and that's where you just wait for that tag, and then you can get long on whatever altcoins you are interested in. That's what I'm recommending here. I don't see a reason for this to have some kind of giant pullback. I'm gonna get rid of this over here, and we're gonna look at this. If this W's out, by the way, we'll go up into my big red box all the way up here. Originally, I thought we'd hit the bottom, but now looking at how this played out, we could go up to this 530 area. So that's more than a double easily. And I'm being conservative with this. So that's what we're looking at. You'll surpass the 2024 highs. So whatever a lot of coins that you were interested in, wherever they were in December 2024, they should be higher than that. Now then, I guess the next question is, what is the timeline on this? Well, let's assume that this was the breakout here. How long does it take to reach the highs? Well, let's look at the last couple times. And I know I'm not going with my normal spiel. Normally I talk about the S&P and stocks first, but I just think what's happening in crypto is a lot more relevant and interesting than what's happening. The stock market is just slow grind higher. This is just summer grind up. Not really much to say about it other than, you had you could do like an ABCD, right? I feel like I'm kind of all over the place. I'm gonna just do this really quickly. Elliott wave. So you could even say that like this is your 1, 2, and then this is your 3, like right here. It might even be here. You're like still going. You could say 1, and then like 4, and then this is your 5. But I don't think that's accurate. There's been almost no pullbacks, so it's really hard to even create a wave count here. But it would probably look like on a daily chart it's a little bit better. 1, 2, 3, and then this is your 4. Maybe your 4 was here, and then this is your 5. And the question is, where does the 5 stop? Maybe it was here, or here, and then you have like a bit of an ABCD, and we've got a new start of like a 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't like Elliott wave. Sometimes doesn't match up well, and in this case, I think it's one of those times, and I think it's easier to just use these parallel channels and watch as we move higher. I want to change to. I have another chart that. You know what? I want to keep this channel, so I'm going to show this really quick, and then we're going to go back to crypto. By the way, I don't want to get too distracted. All right, so here was kind of your W, and we can use this. And I don't want to use this one. Yeah, this is what I want. Okay, 2.618. Yeah, this lines up. That lines up. No, I prefer it like this. I'm trying to line up the levels. I found that it's more accurate when you line them up a bit. Let's look at the other SPX. I have 2. By the way, we'll talk about BTCD. We got to get to that, but I just want to get this perfectly correct first. Yeah, so this was my original drawing here that showed our levels, and this was our 1.618, 2.618. We've come into the 3.59, and then our 4.618 was at 6645. That was the original level I laid out, and you can see how we've been rejected at each of these areas. So it's kind of the same thing here, but it was more like this. Yeah, which makes more sense. So you tag this. This is kind of your zone. Actually, it would have been like that. Yeah, this lines up very well. Okay, so you can see how we got rejected and we played in this area, 1.618. Then we hit 2.618, big rejection. Hit it again, rejected, and then we kind of sat around that level for a while before finally launching higher. We stopped at this 3 level, and then this 3.59 rejected us, and now we're trying to push higher, and eventually we're supposed to hit this 4.669, and that's kind of the path that I see. And I want to unlock this and extend it a bit without deviating too much. It's not easy to send this perfectly like I want to. Okay, let's lock that. Okay, so when can we hit essentially this final target? That I think that's a good question to ask. The earliest we could have hit it already actually, but so within a day we could hit it. What is the latest? The latest is 41 days. By the end of August, we should hit what I consider kind of the major top zones. That's the latest at the current rate. We should get to 6,600. That's an additional 5% in the market. That's what I'm seeing. Until we break down from this parallel channel, I can't really get too bearish. So I would recommend extreme caution with anyone that's bearish, because you're just asking for pain. Okay, so that's the S&P. I want to talk about crypto more, but I also want to touch base on some names. So Qubits is one I've been watching. I think it looks okay, but I'm watching, to be honest, I'm watching and waiting for this to break down. I want to see this break down on a weekly, and then I'm going to short it really hard. Like I just don't believe the quantum story. I don't think it's ready. I think it's too soon. I'm watching this one also to see if it'll break down. But with the market pumping nonstop, it's going to be a bit tough. But you can see here that you had the original run-up breakdown, and now we have the retest. So you've got a divergence. We came up almost to the original high. We've got a 7 and 8 on a time to mark. So this is a decent early shorting zone. You've also got a 7 and 8 on a 4 hour. So I like IonQ, especially from a short perspective, but just understand the weekly is still a bit bullish. However, major divergence all over the place. And I don't think the quantum story is ready to see the light of day yet. Okay, so that's that. Boeing is one I'm keeping an eye on. It is breaking out higher. I see it as extremely bullish. When Trump was in office last time, it was very bullish for Boeing. It did very well as a company. I think it's the same thing is going to happen again here. Imagine if Boeing breaks out of this consolidation range. Like what I'm seeing in some countries, if you look into they're trying to balance the trade with the US. Well, one way that countries can kind of balance the trade without to get something they actually need is they could pledge to buy planes from Boeing. And that would kind of balance the deficit. And that's something that I could see countries trying to do, and that would help Boeing stock a lot. So something that's kind of like a macro perspective. But oh, you do have a TD8 on the monthly chart. That's interesting. It didn't stop it before. 1, 2, 3. I have 4 instances where it didn't work, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got basically 4 where it did. So 50, almost a 50-50. I wouldn't give it too much credit. I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. Let me reverse this. Yeah, so we're just tagging the 38.2 here. But if we break out of this consolidation range, like look at this. This is get rid of this temporarily. And then this is basically this is a conservative consolidation range. So if we break out of this consolidation range, it could launch to like 740. I don't believe that will happen. I don't see that. But at least maybe you could get here to these old highs, like this 450, 440 area. I think it's a very real possibility. So I have longs in Boeing. I originally had longs from down here. I loaded up at like 130, And then when we hit around 200, I exited a bunch, and I've been waiting on the sidelines. And with this move higher, yesterday and the day before, I entered new longs. Not full size yet, but I'm going to keep adding probably, unless I see something detrimental. Like this daily doesn't look particularly amazing, so maybe we get a pullback first. So that's something I'm watching. There were a couple interesting things talked about in the lounge. A lot of nice posts regarding from Sharkotoshi regarding the regarding battery materials. So that was interesting, and highly recommend looking at what he posted. They're all up a lot. I don't think I have time to go through them in the show today. It's just going to take forever. But I do recommend looking at that in the lounge. Okay. Back to, so we've established that the money printer is running. Potentially 10 trillion of liquidity is coming from stable coins and major banks getting involved, and everyone needs to go read the Crypto Haze article. And now that brings us to, okay, crypto, actual crypto. What is going on with crypto? So Bitcoin is pumping, obviously following M2 money supply. And then you've got BTCD, which is dumping right here. I think it's mainly driven by Ethereum, but you can see how it's breaking down on a weekly chart. So this should continue to break down. And I think altcoins should outperform Bitcoin going forward here. Like, yes, Bitcoin will move higher, but if Bitcoin's going to move up, I think this is pretty obvious, right? If Bitcoin's going to move up only another 25% from here, how much is Ethereum going to move up? Like, where could Ethereum go? Well, it could go all the way to 5,700. That's what it looks like. And that is how much? Ethereum could move literally 4x. So keep that in mind, and that's why I'm in a lot of altcoins, because I expect them to outperform over the next couple of months. But as soon as Bitcoin tops and it starts ranging, I'm going to exit. Just go to the sidelines and wait for the crash. And you get gyrations for maybe 6 months. There's going to be incredible, crazy euphoria. But eventually the same thing is going to happen. That always happens. Interesting to see certain altcoins are getting rejected here. Like Solana doesn't look great here. Ethereum looks good, but it is running into a TD7. 1 hour has broken down. This looks like it was a potential bearish retest. Be interesting to see how this plays out. It didn't break the range yet, but according to all the momentum indicators, it looks really good. Like this looks, let me see on the weekly chart. Yeah, this looks great, but it has to close at these highs. We've got another 3 days to go. If it rejects from here, we're back in the range. It'll eventually break out, but just understand that it already pumped. I'm not saying buy here. You should have been buying lower, down here, in this area, these areas. If anything, actually, now I know I said M2 money supplies moving higher and all this stuff and don't short, and I continue to advocate for that. However, if you're in a spot position, something that I did, ironically, right before the show, was I put on a short position on Ethereum and Solana. And I put it on using leverage and in a very, very small account, but it's enough to cover almost 75% of my long spot positions. So if we head lower, I will exit those trades, and then I will have actually added to my total while protecting my spot positions and still saying long. So that's just something, but likely I'll get stopped out. If we break the highs, I'm out. I'll get stopped out. So for example, for here, it's like 280, 2835. That's like my stop for Ethereum. And Solana is it's 160, like 160.5, somewhere up here. 160.5 is my Solana stop. But if that doesn't happen and we roll over, then I'm protected. So that is something that I put on since we had this rally here. Okay, but Bitcoin looks really good from a bull perspective. If you really want to long on leverage, again, wait till the pullback on the daily chart around the 9 EMA area. Same with almost all of these 9 EMA area. That's here. It's kind of, you can see back here in November, December. That was kind of all you got most of the time, and then we'd move higher. You do get one pullback, one really sharp one, but most of the time it just tags the 9 EMA and moves higher. Yeah, here also 9 EMA, 9 EMA. Finally pull back, and even then it wasn't that much, and then push higher. And then you get a really sharp breakdown. So this will eventually happen. Understand, it's not going to work forever. Just do it early enough in the cycle. Okay, so Bitcoin almost 1,300. Woohoo! Or 113,000. Let me see. Maybe Ethereum's going to break the highs, and I'll get stopped out on this stream. It's very bullish. Do you guys want to know targets for anything? I mean, I've kind of showed them. Like Ethereum is 5,700. Bitcoin is 1,400. I guess the question is, like, how fast is it going to happen? It's probably going to be at the same slope as this move. So whatever the time frame was for this one, it's going to be the same for here. So we can kind of guess, like, okay, so this was 33% move. This is going to be a bit less, 25%, but you can see how it's basically exactly the same. And the question is, how long did this move take once the breakout happened? So this was the breakout, and it was done in 30 days. Let's translate that over. Assuming this is the breakout, will be done on August 10th. It's gonna hit the highs. But just keep in mind that this can happen in 30 days. It can be over very fast. We can even kind of try to create some parallel channel here showing that slope. I honestly don't think this is steep enough. August 10th is here. It's not steep enough. I want to make this bigger. I want to get rid of that M2. It's annoying. This needs to be steeper. Does that get us there? Barely. We hit here by like August. It's kind of within this area. So I'd like to see it stay within this parallel channel, but things are rarely this nice looking. I'm going to remove it. But that's kind of the idea. You've basically broken out. You had a ton of chances to get long. This was your last one with the war stuff right here. Right here. This was where I was hoping. I was hoping we'd get more of a pullback here and then also here. Both of them I had buys here and right here. This one I had here and here. Neither of them got hit. I'm kind of pissed about that because I'm not in any leverage longs. Very annoying. So Bitcoin, obvious breakout. Not so obvious on things like Ethereum. It's got to work a little bit harder. BTCD is trying its best to break down. I got stopped out. Ethereum made a recent new high above the Yeah, right above here. So that's my, I am out. That's fine because I'm long a lot. And this was just a hedge. And we want it to go up. Okay. Trying to think what else to talk about for you guys. Watch your reverse after it sub me out. That would be super annoying. Do you guys, okay, so Hector asked about MicroStrategy. Yeah, we can look at it quickly. It looks like it's moving higher to me. I don't see how this isn't bullish. Looks pretty bullish. Consolidated here, right? And then there's kind of your, I would put it, I would say it's something along these lines with a target up here at 560. And you could even consolidate it here. And you can see how you get a target similar to that, 530, close enough. 530, 560 area. I don't expect MicroStrategy to do insanely well. Like, again, it's Bitcoin, so it's going to mirror Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we're targeting 25% higher. So MicroStrategy is probably going to move also 25% higher. If you want something that actually looks better, you know, we have Iron, which took off. Weekly, however, it has a 9. It is bad. There's a weekly 9 on Iron. I don't like that. But the daily chart still looks extremely bullish, even though it's super crazy overbought. And so it's still pushing higher. But I can't, unfortunately, recommend, I actually can't recommend longs here. Right, didn't break out yet and has been in this kind of consolidation pattern. But it could move eventually higher and, you know, head up similar to these. This old move, you know, something like that is like a conservative estimate, halfway point of the previous highs around 45. That's not bad. It's 200% from where it is. That's way better than Bitcoin. So that's something to consider, right? Riot, CLSK is another one. So CLSK is looking pretty good. Big breakout, big move higher. See, look at that. And if it just even heads back to the shorting area, which would be 20, still a decent level, 60% move. It'd be even more crazy if it, like, let's look at a monthly chart. Like if this W's, what if this W's, like this is your, so you do something like this was your W. If that happens, CLSK goes to 91, almost a 9. Kind of, I think like an 8x from here. Imagine if that happened, that would be crazy. Well, I'm long all these names. Mara also. And it looks like it's, you know, moving up as we'd expect in lockstep with Bitcoin. So it's a BTC proxy plays if you want to play them. Again, this is going to happen really fast. By August 10th, we should be here, but it could be faster. You know, keep in mind, you get very short moves. You get 2 days of big movement, almost nothing for 2 weeks, 1 to 2 days of big movement, nothing for 2 weeks, and then you get like 2 or 3 days, and then you're at the top. So of the amount of time, again, the amount of time this took to happen was 31 days. But of those 31 days, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7, 8. Only 8 of those 31 would have really made a difference in your portfolio. All this would have done nothing. Nothing. You probably would have lost money and gotten chopped up. And that's why the market does that. It makes it as hard as possible for anybody to make money. So just keep in mind that the reason we stay long spot is because it's very hard to catch these moves in anything besides spot. Because in a leverage position, you have to watch it kind of constantly. Oh, watch it. Did Ethereum come back down? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. They ran the shorts and came back down. Solana also getting rejected. Yeah. So Mara had nice little W actually here. Target like 25. Still like CLSK, Iron, and Riot better than Mara. Okay. Solana predictions. Okay, I can look at Solana. Yes. For sure. Looks like a nice RSI W trying to form. Magic, that I just think that's my target. That's my target in the next 30 days. And I'm showing how fast it can move. After that, I don't know where it goes. We have to reevaluate at that time. Think of me like a meteorologist. Meteorologists can only predict the weather so far ahead of time because that's all the data they have. I'm thinking that is not the end. Like, if this is the big move, if this is not a fake out, and I don't think it is, if this is not a fake out, then like, okay, let me talk about Solana, and then I'll go back to Bitcoin, and I'll give kind of my long-term thoughts. I don't like doing that because I'm probably going to be wrong, but thank you, Rocky. I don't like to be wrong, but I'll try to kind of give my like long-term thoughts of maybe the next 6 months. But take it with a grain of salt, okay? Okay, Solana, you know, maybe 400 is on the table. If this W plays out, you know, 400 is on the table. But keep in mind, this is significant resistance. It's not a coincidence that 2.618 is right here at 283. And then 1.618 is at 223. Those are significant, you know, you can do this too. Like people like to do like that is a resistance level. If we go to lower time frame, right? Yeah, so there's your resistance level. You could say you have another resistance level here. And then you could say, okay, where's my next one? Okay, maybe here. We also have something here. And then we've got kind of the top area here. So you can see how these levels line up, right? But I know for a fact that 2.618 and the 1.618 are the biggest ones. Those are your levels to worry about. So look, Solana's going to move up with everything else. It just will. And if this W plays out, then this is kind of the move you're going to see. You're going to see something like this. Oh, spike, rejection. Okay, move here, spike, rejection. All right, move up, rejection. Play in this area, confuse everyone. Okay, move up, and then you're there, and that's it. That's kind of what it's going to look like. Ignore the time frame. I have no idea what the time frame is going to be for this, except here. Like if this is going to happen, it's probably the next 30 to 45 days. And then you're going to get your rejection. And then something's going to happen with the stable coins and that Genius Act. And that's when you're going to get this crazy rally. I could see something like that happening. Okay, going back to Bitcoin. So if this really happens in the next 30 days, if this move mirrors the previous move, and all the other moves before where it just happens really fast. Then after that, so say we make it up here, right? 130. Where do we go next? All right, well, we've got to zoom out, right? Let's try 2 weeks. Well, the next one after that is 200,000. That's kind of your next level. We can look at here like this, and we can see that we kind of been in this uptrending parallel channel here for a bit. I don't like this doesn't go back very far. We're gonna have to look at another chart. I don't want to change the chart, but I think we have to. The longest one is Bitstamp, I think. Bitstamp has a lot of history. What? How can it only have... BTCUSD. Maybe this one. All right, here we go. Bitcoin USD. Let's put it on a log scale. That's better. You can see how it's like slowly slowing down. And this is what happens with all mature technologies. Yeah. That lines up pretty well for the most part, right? Yeah. That lines up pretty well. So the highest point for this is 314. And the earliest you can reach that is, I guess you could reach it now, but if we look at the current pace, right? So we also take this one and create another channel within it. And we can see the top of this channel is 140, 150. So then when can we expect to reach those higher points within this channel? Of course, we can always break out, right? This isn't guaranteed. I'm just trying to look at and get a general idea. So if we spike here in the next 30 days, we end up in this 140 area like this, right? And we play in here and we get rejected. Maybe we come back down and then we scare people and we go to like 94K and then we move up. And then they start using those stable coins. And before we know it, by next year, we're at 200K. And now people are really interested in Bitcoin and we're moving around up here. Something like that might happen. And I'm basing a lot of this off of Arthur Hayes' article. If what he's saying comes to pass, and it makes sense, now I'm not saying we're going to get 10 trillion, but even 1 or 2 trillion, then this could easily happen, right? Because it's just like, look at Bitcoin. Let's look at this exact Bitcoin chart divided by M2. Okay. And this is just the US M2. What I would really like to do is I would like to divide this by, I want to take, I honestly want to get this one. Let me see the code. Where's the source code for this? See how many, like how much is in this? So let's see if we can take all of this. I don't know if it's going to work. And divide it by Bitcoin. I don't know if this is going to work. No, it didn't work. How can I get this to work? divided by does it not like what I wrote? It's okay. Wait a second. I think I just got to get rid of the D on all of these. Okay, this is correct. Get rid of the D on this one. Yeah. This might actually work. Watch, it doesn't work at all. This is the global money supply. All added up. Bitcoin is just a protection against money printing. It didn't work. Why didn't it work? I don't want to waste too much time on this. Money supply. You see how they give you all different ones? Like, okay, so let's say that plus, maybe it will let me. Plus, let's just say China, the US, Europe. Where's Euro? I already put China. I mean, obviously we have to put Japan. Plus, I don't actually see Europe. What am I missing? Am I looking at something wrong? Israel we should include. They actually print a lot. If you look at Israel's money printing, they printed a lot a couple times. Why can't I find the euro? Russia, Brazil, China, Egypt, Japan, Turkey. What am I missing here? Greece, Iraq. Interesting is Italy. I would think you'd just have like European Union rather than separate countries. Maybe I don't understand how it works. Hello, Terry. All right, so let's just try like these, for example, all of these added up. This is like, could be a whole study in and of itself. Why don't you work? Doesn't work. Why? What does it not like? Maybe it's because I put the parentheses. But I'm worried it's not going to work the way I want without that. No, it doesn't work. Why? This should work. I've done this before. Okay, well. Is there anything that says global money supply? Euro area money supply. Oh, there it is, Euro. Where's like global? Global. Global money supply USDT. All right, we could use this. Let's see this. Oh, they just started. Did they just start giving this out? Huh. This is super new. Totally useless. Sorry, guys. Look, I don't think this is not helpful because the US hasn't been printing, but the rest of the world has. Like, look at M2. Let's just look at this, right? Okay, it's fine. Let's look at the monthly, 1 month. Okay, look. It flatlined up until recently. Like now they They started doing it again, but they did have a pullback, and then they started increasing, right? So it increased by 2 trillion in the last year, and that was mostly money being pulled out of the reverse repo facility. There was 2 trillion in the reverse repo facility, and it got pushed into the market. I think it's just via this is how it got pushed in. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that one. So look at that, and then let's add. How do I add? Add another one. I want to add another symbol. Where do I do that? Indicator. Oh, just plus sign. Yeah. So then we add like China. Look at the Chinese money supply compared to the U.S. And or we add, say, Israel. See, that kind of matches the U.S. We add Japan. And we do money supply Euro area. So you can see how different countries are printing different amounts of money. China especially has gone crazy printing. This is nuts. So you have to include this stuff because Bitcoin is a global asset. It's not just like US stocks only. It's a global asset. And the Chinese have ways to get their money out of China. It doesn't stay there. You need to look at the whole thing. And that's why I was trying to add them all up. You can look how much. I love this thing. So China's money printing is just insane. Whatever other countries do, just like 10x it for China. Just gonna go insane. If you zoom out though, you can see Israel. Israel was pretty crazy back in the 90s. They did some wicked money printing. Look at that. Look at that percentage. They started printing in the 90s before anyone else really. Huge printing in the 1990s for Israel for some reason. And then China caught on to the money printing game. When did China catch on? 2000 basically was when they started. But you can see how everyone's kind of printing, but the US and the Euro are not printing nearly as much as China is. Okay, I think I beat that point to death. I will work on finding a way to divide the global money supply by Bitcoin to show you, to kind of to give you an idea of where we could be headed with Bitcoin simply from that perspective, because you're just looking at it as Bitcoin's going to this price. But I think it's more important to look at, well, how much money was printed, and then that'll kind of tell you where we're going to go, because Bitcoin is just responding to more money being in the system. All you're doing with Bitcoin is you're trying to protect yourself from inflation while everybody else is getting screwed over. Like everyone's just getting screwed over completely, except asset owners. Like if you own assets, you're going to be fine. But if you hold fiat money, I think you're screwed in this current system. I really do. It sucks. Yeah, or if you're shorting. If you're shorting, you're screwed even more. As you can see, this doesn't go down. So anyway, that's my short-term targets. There's a couple of good altcoins posted in the chat room. You could check that in the lounge. Highly recommend. I usually just stick to the macro. BTCD is looking like it's breaking down. Altcoin season is starting. So consider starting to look out for those names. They're going to start taking off. It's kind of all I've got. I am 100% long crypto. And I think as long as you're long, you'll be fine. All right, any questions, guys? Otherwise, I'm going to call it. It's been like an hour. Thank you, Mr. Magic. BTC and Euro and GBP haven't even touched all-time highs. Yeah, well, this shows the devaluation of the dollar, right? So For some reason, the dollar is dropping like crazy. Something to keep in mind, by the way. It's good that you brought that up. I was gonna end, but look at the dollar. This is our kind of our uptrend parallel channel that I have for the dollar, and we're right at the bottom. So we've got a TD8 right here, and it just worked pretty well in the past. So we could get global world money supply M2 measured in USD. Oh, okay, I could try that, Terry. But if you look at the US dollar is kind of bottomed here. So that's something to look out for, that we could get a bounce, which could give you a bit of a relief with Bitcoin and a pullback a little bit. Global world, I'm gonna try that. Global world monetary supply. M2. I don't get anything really when I type that. Measured in USD. Yeah, I would check that maybe, Terry, because I don't see anything. I saw you type this. This is weird. Yeah, I don't see anything. It would be great to have that. It would be nice. I have it here with the M2 money supply, but that's in a script. So I would like to have it kind of on the chart and divide it by this. Hopefully I made it my point, guys. We can look at, like, yeah, Bitcoin in euro if you want. It's getting close though. It's still looking very bullish. I'm kind of seeing the same breakout though. This is still extremely bullish for me. I see the same thing that I'm looking at in USD. Any good alts thoughts on Fartcoin? Okay, we can look at Fartcoin. Man, it's just another coin. It's just a meme. I don't. $2. You can get like a double. I mean, I have a lot of SPX500, for example, in our TRI account that I bought at 50 cents. So back here in the 50-cent area, and it's up quite a bit. Do I expect it to go much higher than this? Not too much. Maybe $2.50, $3. You can see how it originally hit this level, and we could go to maybe $3. But honestly, if this was the consolidation, most likely it only hits like $2.40. I'm going to try to sell it up here. I'm actually going to set an alert when we breach all-time highs to start scaling out of that. I think, oh, from fundamental side, I don't know, honestly. There's so many alts. I just like to stick to the classics. Like, I like Link. From a fundamental perspective, I always thought Link was a great coin. You have a nice W working here. I like it from that perspective. Could go to like $40. So that's one. I mean, it's really not bad from a upside perspective, right? So 180% move. Not bad at all. Off the top of my head, anything else I like? Not really. I have basics. I'm not really messing with particular coins or trying to look for anything fancy. I'm just looking at general coins, and I think everything kind of moves together. So I'm mainly watching the other index, and when this hits my zone up here, I'm just gonna start exiting everything. Like, I've done this for so long. I could go through 10 different coins. They're all gonna basically look the same. And then they're all going to start popping off at different times. And they're all going to do, one's going to go 200%, another one's going to go 500%. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but what I can tell you is if the other index, this one, is going down, most of the coins are going to go down. And your portfolio is probably not going to do that well. But if the other index is moving higher, then most of your coins are going to go up and you're going to do well. And you can decide if you want to diversify and how much you want to research all those coins. Me, I prefer to stick to like the top 100 coins. I don't want to put in the time to find coins that may or may not be a scam. Like that was my experience last time during the DeFi craziness, where half of them were great and half of them were scams. And then I ran an example portfolio here at TRI where we tried to follow some top influencers, and a lot of the coins that were recommended by those top influencers just like went to shit. They were essentially like scam projects. They seemed great. You could get like 10x, 100x, but most of the time they didn't do well. And the reason I did that was to kind of demonstrate like following influencers isn't always the best thing. And sometimes it works to just stick with the top 100 coins and kind of understand that crypto is a sector. And if you have 50 different coins, you're not really diversified. Like if alts start going down, they're all going to go down. If Bitcoin starts to go down, all the alts are going to go down. Like I don't believe that most alts have any value. I just don't. I think it's only Bitcoin. And that's why the last like 2-3 years, alts have kind of trended down while Bitcoin's continued to move higher, because it's the only one that has like real value. Like also, if the stock market goes down, Bitcoin's probably going to go down. But all of this is based on money printing. You're just hedging against inflation. The market going up is just saying, look, things are going to get more expensive. And they have to, because the government needs tax money to keep, everything just needs to keep spinning. And if it stops, then it's going to be a problem for people. People stop getting their salaries, the riot, all this kind of stuff. It's kind of depressing if you think about it. But at the same time, it's simple. You know, it makes everything simple. Okay, that's all I've got, guys. I'm going to call it here. Do not short this market. How am I going to play my exit? What? I just gave you my targets. All right, we'll go over exit strategy next week, okay? Hopefully you guys are members of the site. If you're not, consider joining. I take this entire episode, the entire transcript, and I create a really nice summary that gives you everything I talked about in the show, so you don't have to rewatch it and you can just go check the notes. Big benefit, I think, and saves a lot of time. And then every show I go back and I look at it and I say, oh, where was I wrong and where was I right? Like today's show, I said, okay, I was hoping for a bit more of a pullback in Bitcoin to get into a leverage long. It didn't happen, and it looks like it's not going to happen, so I'm just in my spot longs, and that's fine. What was the last question before I close it? What do you think about market memory theory? Yeah, I don't prescribe to any of those theories. I think just, you know, trade your plan, and that's it, and stick to that. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be distracted by all these theories and different things. I've done 100 different theories, and most of the time they don't work. Okay. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Again, check the Discord in like the next 24 hours. I'll post the full summary as I always do. Make sure to thumbs up the video, thumbs up the summary. Let me know that you guys like it. And I will see you on the site. And if not, I will see you here, same time, same place next week. All right. Bye, everybody.